Welcome to week 5. This week I wanted to give just a very brief overview. We have 2 discussion boards that we're going to do this week. The first one will be building on the work that you just completed on your EI fieldwork and the post that you made at the end of week 4. So in the first discussion board post, what you're going to do is go back to week 4 and you're going to review the discussion board fieldwork development suggestions that each person made, and you're going to identify a minimum of 3 people. Looking at what they offered as behaviors and suggestions, you're first going to look for ideas that you can incorporate into your own development plan. Ideas that will help you build on your targeted emotional intelligence development areas, whatever those might be that you're going to be focused on for your final development plan that will be due on week 10. Once you identify the 3 people, I'd like you to be able to describe to them what you learned from them based on their posts. And then I'd also like you to offer for each person a couple of suggestions of what they might want to do to enhance or expand the developmental recommendation that you saw in their discussion post in week 4. So as an example, I've already gone through a few of the week 4 posts, and a couple of people identified the need to provide more constructive coaching and feedback to facilitate the development of others. And what we know in terms of giving coaching and feedback is it's a very complex set of skills and behaviors, and actually they need to be adjusted and modified depending on the person that you're working with to provide feedback. So what you might want to do is to suggest to the person some ideas of how they would engage in possibly questioning strategies for the person whom they're giving feedback to, or identify some specific areas where their feedback has worked particularly well in the past. Reference those places where they've given feedback to the individual in the past, and then build on that by providing additional comments on the current work that they're finishing. So you could find a way to summarize that in your own words, but offering to the person a bit more detail and a bit more ideas, if you will, of what somebody needs to do in order to continue to develop in that area of emotional intelligence. The goal is to help you continue to be as specific as possible, and this is related to the final leadership development plan. And I have posted samples of the leadership development plans under reference material, and this is in the first tab. And what I did is I wanted to just show you these. I hope that you've looked at these already. There's 3 specific development plans each of you need to finish and is due on week 10, along with your final paper. So this first one is an example of somebody who had done 1 VIA strength and 2 emotional intelligence competencies. The first one they were looking at was building their emotional self-awareness, and the second area of emotional intelligence was their ability to be more adaptable. And what you're going to notice is that in the first column, there's detailed information about what they need to do, and then the bottom of the first column is the obstacles that they need to overcome in order to build that particular area. And this goes to our second discussion board for week 5. What you're going to do is spend the second half of week 5 looking at the obstacles, the things that may slow you down in terms of your leadership development. And what you're going to see is I've posted 3 videos this week focusing on our gratitude deficit disorder that we have in most organizations, where leaders do not really provide enough positive acknowledgement, recognition, and support by expressing gratitude to people for the work that they do. And what we found is that expressing gratitude very much affects the health of the team and the health of the organization. So when there's a lack of gratitude, that is an obstacle to our growth. Another obstacle you'll see in the second video is lack of feedback. Feedback that helps us grow, feedback that helps us develop. And then the third area I posted is a video on our tendencies to focus on the negative. And by focusing on the negative, obviously, we are not focused on our strengths. and we are focused on what we're doing wrong and the challenges we face rather than looking at the opportunities for continued growth. So the second discussion board post will be related to you thinking about your obstacles. So you may not have, for the 3 videos I posted, those as your obstacles. You may have other ones. But the key is, in our development plans, we need to be able to identify the obstacles, and that's what's going to be in this first column of your development plan, because we need to find strategies in order to address the obstacles, and that is what goes in column 2. Column 2 of our development plans are going to have actions, behaviors, and approaches to build our targeted area for growth. In this example, it was adaptability. This is exactly the format that we were using for the BENIS chapter summaries, our development actions that you've been writing for the past 2 weeks, and you'll have one more, the last one, due this week. And then you'll see measures of how we're going to measure our progress, our improvement, and our growth. So, the reason we need to focus on obstacles is we know that we're going to hit them, and we have to find strategies to address the obstacles through actions that we take. And that'll be in column 2 of your final development plan. What's in column 3 are the coaches and resource people who will help us when we encounter obstacles, help us to continue to sustain momentum, to sustain our courage to move forward. And then, of course, the last column is our timeline for our continued measurement of how our progress is coming. So my intention in the focus of our BENIS summaries and development actions was to mirror this process that you're now going to be integrating as we move toward our final leadership development plan. This is now week 5, so we're just about halfway done with the course, and this final development plan we'll be working on synthesizing along with the final paper that'll be due on week 10, March 11th at noon. All of our papers will be submitted. So what we need to do then this week in the second discussion board post, and this will be due on next Monday, where you'll think of 2 to 4 obstacles that you're likely to encounter. Identify some strategies, some ideas for addressing those obstacles, and then to attain the highest discussion board point total, to identify resources. What are some maybe other videos that you found, or articles or resources of how to address some of these obstacles? Now, I know in the years that I've spent in doing development planning with leaders, one of the large obstacles that every one of us face is the obstacles about time. Just literally not having enough time in the day to complete all of the things we need to do. So it's very much worth it to look at your own approach to time and see if you can find additional creative ideas in order to manage your time. And one of the thoughts and kind of the current focus of looking at not as much time management, but managing our energy. And so I've put in our articles for week 5, an article for you to think about how to manage your energy, maybe in a different way, rather than just focusing on time, which of course is a limited resource. But our energy is unlimited to the extent that we use it well. So those are the 2 discussion board posts. The first one is on the EI fieldwork and providing 3 people with feedback as well as additional ideas in order to help them as well as yourself to continue to build this development plan that all of you will be drafting, and hopefully I encourage you to begin drafting now week 5 and week 6 in order to have this written. My students in the past have shared with me that they found it valuable to write the plan first and then write the actual final paper. And as we get closer, you'll see why, of what items need to be included in the paper and the paper's linkage to your actual development plan. The development plan, I strongly suggest, should be focused on the next 60 to 90 days in your current role, your role at work, your roles at home, your roles in your community. And again, leadership is not a position, it's a role that we hold through which we influence others. So think broadly about the different roles and be as specific as you can about the actions you're going to take to build on your strengths and build on your talents, and doing so, hopefully achieving even more profound and accelerated results to achieve the outcomes you're looking to achieve. So those are our 2 discussion boards this week. I also have included in our readings this week a couple of articles on collaboration. And my thought process behind this is I've worked in many organizations where we talk about the value of leaders being collaborative in their interactions and teams being collaborative. But what I've also found is that people have a very difficult time operationalizing what that means in terms of behaviors, what changes we need to make in order to be more collaborative. So those 2 articles were included in the readings with the intention of sharing with you some ideas and some best practices from other organizations that have been successful in facilitating collaborative outcomes. So those discussion boards, and then your final BENIS paper, chapters 8 through 10, will be due this week. And then, of course, my hope is that you either this week or maybe already have finished your gratitude visit. And next week, you will have your gratitude paper that will be due. So I will give you more detailed instructions then next week of how to finalize that paper. Again, you heard me say I have a video online, week 5, on the gratitude deficit disorder. And the reason we all need to express more gratitude is the focus on the fact that leaders and team members and colleagues often focus on what's going wrong, what isn't working, rather than expressing gratitude and focusing on what is. And as you saw in the Seligman article that was posted the last 2 weeks, that leaders who are optimistic facilitate a sense of we can change, we can make things different. And it doesn't mean having unrealistic rose-colored glasses where we can do anything if we try hard enough. The focus is on optimism, and what we found in our work and research on optimistic leaders is they have a very balanced perspective of what can be done and how to address obstacles when those obstacles emerge. So thank you, have a great week, and I look forward to reading your posts and the papers that you'll be submitting as well. Take care.